Welcome, people. We're going to be doing fresh flower arranging. And we're going to let everybody join. So give us a minute or two. We are at 10. So I think we have a small group today. We may be able to do Q&A live, not sure. But we're going to get started. My name is Delise Weir. I am on the board of the Friends of the Farmer Garden. And today we're going to learn how to harvest, prep, choose flowers for texture, shape, and line, and learn the basic design principles of working with flowers so that you can make a beautiful bouquet for yourself or your mother. A little Zoom housekeeping. We all know this by now, but we'll say it again. You'll find that your microphone is muted and your video is off. Speaker view in the upper right-hand corner is recommended for the best experience. You can use the chat window for comments or questions. And there's also a QA function for questions to the instructor, which we will hold till the end. And then we will feed those questions back. A few tips if you are having trouble hearing. There is a CC Live transcript button at the bottom. And if you enable that, you'll get closed captioning. If you need technical assistance, please chat directly with Jessica Length. And we will send this presentation again. You should have already received it, and a link to the video in your email within a day or two. This is sponsored by the Friends of the Farm and Garden, which is the board that I sit on. We encourage you to join. There are lots of great member benefits, including discounts at great plant stores, 10% off workshops. We have in-person ones that cost money, as well as ones like this that are inexpensive, but you still get 10% off, and special invitations that only members receive. You also get to support the Center for Agroecology and the great work that they do. Now, this presentation is full of information. You received it in your email. I recommend that you pull it up so you can reference it, because we're just going to show Heidi doing her thing. And here's a little bit from Heidi about Heidi.
Hey everybody, thanks for joining us on this beautiful Saturday morning. I'm Heidi Harris. I work for the Center for Agroecology. I manage the big beautiful hay barn that we're filming from today. We host all kinds of events here. We also do our own events like workshops and things like that. I was a florist for about 20 something years. I started in the early 90s. Couldn't figure out what I wanted to do, and funny enough, walked into a bookstore, went right into a floral design book, picked it up, and said, this is what I want to do. But back then, there really wasn't a lot of teaching, schooling, educational purposes for florists. So I just gleaned everything I could, and lo and behold, found some retail floristry classes at West Valley College. So I enrolled in the evening classes and had some amazing instructors there. And that's how I launched myself into a floral design career. On and off, then had kids and, fell into events, and here I am. But it's always something that I love to do. It's really my passion, and I am happy to share it with you guys today. A little bit about where I want to start today, assuming or anticipating that you're all going to get some bouquets for Mother's Day. I wanted to show you a little bit about when you shop for your flowers, because that's really the most important piece. Because if you end up buying product that's old or not healthy, it's not going to last. We're lucky enough to have some really good markets here that carry really good organic flowers. But a lot of commercial grocery stores and markets carry flowers that are imported from South America and other places, and they are flown in by airplanes. They could sit in boxes in an airport for a while before they even get to the store. So keeping a really good eye before you buy is really important, and it'll make you more beautiful arrangements. So really just take a really good look before you buy it. Most of them are encased in plastic. Sometimes water drips when people shop and they pull the bouquets over the other ones, water drips down inside. And you can see, this one isn't so bad, but if there's bruising on the petals or any kind of, rot, that's from water being dripped, and you don't want to buy them like that. You want to make sure that, especially with roses, that there's no rot on the inside of the rose, if you can see it. They won't last because it'll drip down and mold, and yeah, that's the #1 killer of bouquets that you get in a store. Second thing, roses. How to tell a fresh rose. So a lot of times with holidays like this, these are made a few days, weeks early. So not all your roses are going to be super fresh, but on a daily basis, you want to get a rose that's tight, not open, and that the base here is hard. So when you squeeze it, it should be firm. Not to say that this isn't going to last. It's going to open and it'll be pretty. But if you get them a little bit tighter and a little hard, you'll have a longer shelf life. Hydrangea is really popular in cut bouquets, but a lot of times they get left out of water. Hydrangea, and only hydrangea, is really great if it gets really dried out and limp. You can submerge it in a sink full of water, the whole thing. Just put it all in water, give it a fresh cut, and 9 times out of 10, it'll pop right back. I do notice though, when I look at a lot of bouquets in shops, the hydrangea doesn't look good. So try not to buy it, but if it happens at home, just go ahead and submerge it and it should be okay. Lilies. Now, this is a pretty good time to buy a lily. You don't want to get them too tight. I have one that's really tight. If they're super tight and you need it like for a wedding and you need it to be open and it's tight, it's probably going to take 4 or 5 days to crack. So this is called cracked. If you need it to be really pretty, like in a day or two, you want to buy it cracked. As it opens, these anthers, is that right? I think that's anthers. These you want to pull off. I always forget, because these will stain your clothes. And as the lily opens, you can see if it's not really dry, that means it's a fresh lily. If it's dry, if it's really dry as it opens, like that means it's an older lily. And you want to find a fresher one, because I noticed at the store yesterday, some of the lilies were open and they were dry. It's not bad, you just won't have as long of a shelf life. So you want to pull these off, just gently pull them off. If you get this on your clothes, don't wash it. You won't get it out. If you get them on your clothes, just leave it out in the sun, and the sun will dry it and blow it away. If some of the pollen gets on the petal, a brush, you can just take it and wipe it right off. So like if you're working on a wedding or something like that, and it happens, especially on white lilies. You just get this and just lightly brush it, and it'll take all that pollen off. So this is especially if you're doing weddings, you want to make sure you take these off. You definitely don't want the bride getting this on her white wedding dress. Anyhow, there's that. So I think the first thing I thought I would do is show you how you can take a store-bought bouquet and elevate it into something really spectacular by supplementing with some things from your yard. So I am going to, so this is my favorite, one of my favorites. This is called Blue Leptospermum. It's an Australian native, and it's really beautiful in bouquets. And I love the pink color, and I love the texture, and I just love the movement. So I cut some from my yard. And we do have, there's greens that you can get to supplement if you don't have anything. Some of the stores locally sell just little bunches of greens. This is Blue Perum. This is a lot of farmer florists grow this. You can grow this pretty easily in your garden. It's a really great green. Can also be a filler actually. But it's a really beautiful color. It's probably could use a fresh cut, but that's how it is. And it adds a lot of movement, a lot of rhythm to a bouquet. So basically, you just want to put a little bit of filler foliage in your vase first. Give it a fresh cut. If you don't know how to use a knife, I'm going to show you really quick because floral knives are very sharp and you don't want to touch this to your finger. It's not like when you cut carrots at home. You want it to be, it works in tandem with your thumb. So you basically, do you have that, Jim? So then you just pull it. And that'll give you a nice angled fresh cut, but don't touch your thumb to it because your knives are very sharp. All of us first in the first classroom, the first lesson, somebody usually gets their finger cut. But you know, you learn the first time. So a lot of the bouquets, you're gonna have a focal flower. So your focal flowers are your lilies, your roses. Some have carnations, things like that. Usually, depending on the size of the arrangement you buy the bouquet, you're gonna have 1 or 2 focal flowers. So this one we have 1. So you're probably gonna wanna put it in front and center, really show it off. So there's that right in the front. And then we have 2 of these. These are Sweet William, also known as dianthus. I'm gonna put one on either side of the lily to really showcase the lily. This is gonna be more of a one-sided arrangement. If you had 2 lilies, you'd put the other one feasibly right behind it, then it could be all around. We have some hydrangea. So we have 2 hydrangeas. So I'm gonna put the hydrangea opposite the dianthus for balance. And I'm also going to take off some of the leaves. So when you look at it, when you put it in your arrangement, sometimes the leaves that are on the actual flower can kind of distract. And it's okay to cut them off, especially if you see, if you really want to look at your product and see like, I just think that there's too many leaves here. So what I'm going to do, just like we prune our citrus trees, I'm going to look at this, and this is just going to go. And I think, yeah, I'm just going to take them all off. I think it's distracting. There. That way the buperum, it doesn't compete with the buperum. Okay, so we have 2 hydrangeas. So I'm going to go opposite on the hydrangea. I'm going to put one there and one in the back. I'm also going to take these off. These aren't so bad. Like that looks pretty good. Having 3 little leaves on there, they're not so big. So I'm going to leave those on. So we have the focal, the side companions, and then opposite hydrangeas. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4. We have 5 roses in this, so that's pretty good. So, and here again with the roses, sometimes the leaves on the roses they don't look good, so I'm going to take them off. So I'm going to put 1 here. So a common count for flowers is 3s because it keeps things balanced without being symmetrical. Sometimes if you use just 2 of something, they can look like eyeballs. You don't want to just use 1 because then it's going to look like just one-eyed. So 3 is a good balance. So we're going to do 3, let's see. I'm going to put 1 rose there, 1 rose here. And 1 rose right here. Okay, so there's our 3. And now I'm going to take another rose and put it a little higher in between those others. So 1 there, and also trying to frame the lilies. So 1 there. And 1 in the front. And this is Heather, and this is a filler, but it also has it's a pretty color. It's common in Mother's Day arrangements because of the pinks and reds, but I really like the foliage, how it adds some movement and texture. So we're going to fill in around. And for me, it's really important to deal with the transition between the flower and the top of the vase. Like, I don't like to look at an empty vase if you can help it. So I like to use my fillers down low so that it makes a nice transition from the flowers to the vase. So I'm gonna stick that there. But they can also add height. So this one's pretty tall. So I'm gonna trim this. I'm gonna put this in the center. As you can see, I'm gonna put it right behind the lily so that it frames the lily. And then we have 1 more. Put here. And I find sometimes if you change the perspective, like sometimes I'll even put the arrangement down low and you can really see your spacing when you do it that way. And 1 more. Where shall I put it? So let's see. I think I'm going to put it right here in between the lilies. There. And we have 3 carnations. So I'm going to intersperse those around the roses. So I'm going to put 1 here. You have to be careful with carnations because sometimes, like you saw, there was a little bit of resistance on the stems. These snap really easily. They'll snap at the little joint there. So when you're, especially like if you're doing a Christmas arrangement with the Christmas greens, you really want to be very careful when you stick them in so you don't snap your carnations off. And then I think I'm going to put this one down over here. Yeah, and then you can move the blue perm around. Okay. So now we're going to add some movement with our leptosporum. So this, you're going to probably want to trim the lower leaves. You definitely want to trim as much off of what's going to go in the vase as possible, because this will make the water spoil faster. So we're just going to trim all this off. And then clean it off. Now, so you want to look. And flowers have a face. Like what side of them is going to look the best when somebody's looking at it. So you want to kind of give it a little spin, take a good look at the shape and what it's doing. So this is almost a vertical and this is going out. So I'm going to put this going like this so that it'll cascade down over the vase a little bit. And it'll give us some volume. See that? And then don't be afraid to kind of pull things up as they go down a little bit when you're working on them. This one doesn't have any flowers on it, but it's still cool, I think. And see, this one's curving a little bit. So I think it's going to be nice to curve out a little bit right there. And then this has a lot of nice flowers on it. So I'm going to put this down low so that you can see it. So if you look, we could use a little bit of something right there. So I'm going to put the next one. Now this one really should be a little bit longer. So if you're doing this at home, find one that's a little bit longer so it'll reach farther down, but I'm just going to put this here for display purposes. Ultimately, I would like something a little bit longer. And we have a little bit more blue perm. So now I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill around the neck. And wherever else we think we could use a little bit more blue perm. If you see how this is kind of spilling over, I think actually this could look really nice in the center. And it'll give it a nice cascade. And then we can kind of drape it. And if something is a little bit wonky, it's okay to cut it off. If it all doesn't work, if you just want one and not two, you can feel free to cut it off. Now, what we have left, this is Floral lemon leaf. It's a common green for floral arrangements. And it adds a really pretty color. So I'm just going to stick it in around the neck. And if you don't use it all, that's okay. You can hang on to it. Sometimes if I want, so smooth colors, dark smooth colors and textures like this leaf, it causes your eye to rest. And there is a lot of movement. There's a lot of texture on this arrangement. So if you wanted to, you could put the Floral in the middle and it will add a little bit of smooth texture. You can see how it changes things. And it'll allow your eye to kind of rest for a minute, but it really does change the arrangement. So you can do that if you like, or you can just leave it in the neck. That's kind of up to your eye. And like for this one, if I did it in the middle, I would probably put this in the middle and not worry about trimming it. But if I wanted to use this around the neck and I stuck that in, it's gonna be kind of a strange shape. So I'm gonna sacrifice one of them. And I think this has got a better curve for around the neck. So I'm gonna cut that off. I'm gonna cut it short and I'm gonna, probably a little shorter. I'm gonna stick this down there and see how it just has a natural flow, a natural curve for It's good for the edge of the vase when it has a natural curve like that. Now this one, this might be a little hard to work with. We're gonna have to trim this a little. So of course, the first thing you want to trim is anything that's bent or broken or damaged. And then there's a lot of leaves on that. So what I'm gonna do, pruning, you want to go every other. So I think I'm gonna prune that one off. And so it opens it up a little bit. And then I think I'm gonna take that one off. And we'll see, I don't know, this might be a little too wonky for this vase, but we'll give it a try, see what it does. You know, if you don't like it, just pull it out. So this blue perm here, to me, is a little too heavy. So I'm going to trim this back a little. I think I'm going to take this off because I think it's a little too much. I think I'm going to take that off. The part, some flowers, even though they add a nice cascade, they can kind of look like they're dying. So if it's not looking healthy, just don't use it. Just cut it off or thin it. I think that's just a little too much. I'm going to take some of that off. Okay, and thanks to Lilies, we have this beautiful columbine that I think is going to look really, really pretty in here. And columbine is, the flowers are up high, they're tall. So, I mean, that's a beautiful silhouette. It's a beautiful shape and it's pretty much usable just like that. So give it a fresh cut. Actually, I'm gonna lie, I'm gonna take this one off. This can go down low. This is such a beautiful, light, airy flower. It's really gonna lighten things up and add a lot of movement. And then I'm gonna put this one right behind the lily. And feature these beautiful flowers. Look at that. The color just works so nicely. And we have a white one. I'm going to use a little bit of the white down low. And these are shorter stems, so these can go down low around the vase, the neck of the vase. And then so just go ahead and fill in. And you want to look at the face of the flower, like here. You want to make sure it's sticking its beautiful face forward so everybody can see it. Same with this one. We're going to make sure we take off the foliage as it's going to go into the vase. And I'm going to put this one right next to this rose. So as you can see, just a few flowers from your yard can take a bouquet that you buy at the store and really elevate it. If it was a smaller vase, we have these beautiful sweet peas, thanks to Lilies. I would put these in if it was a smaller vase, but sweet peas need to drink a lot of water. So I'm not going to put them in this. It's too big of a vase. But you can keep adding. I mean, we have other things you can just keep building. And sometimes they get compacted as you're working. So you can just pick them up and kind of shake them like that. There. And if you want to put a little ribbon around the neck. So there's your bouquet from the grocery store. Okay. The other thing to think about, there's lots of decisions you end up making when you're doing flowers. So you have a container, and it's nice to match the flower color so it coordinates with the container. So I have this one, and I thought, you know, seeded euc, this is seeded eucalyptus. It's a nice color, it complements, kind of monochromatic. So I'm going to use this as a filler. In this arrangement. So this, as a florist that working in the 90s, flower shops used a lot of Oasis, flower foam, a lot of chemicals that we now know are not good for the environment. So we don't want to use Oasis flower foam anymore. So what we're doing is kind of going back to what we used to do before there was Oasis, and we would do chicken wire. So inside this vase, I crumpled up some chicken wire and stuck it down inside and made a frog. And then I taped it to keep it secure. So that's what's going to hold this in place. And if you wanted to, you could give it a little bit more tape around. This is floral tape. It's in the PowerPoint presentation. It's great. It's like duct tape for flowers. So you can also just go around the neck and hold it down. It's waterproof, but your container needs to be dry before you attach it. Otherwise it won't stick. So make sure your container is really dry. And then it should be nice and secure. And if you're traveling with your flowers, you definitely want to tape things down so that they don't fall out. So this is seeded eucalyptus. You might have this grown in your yard. You can get, I got this at the store. They sell bouquets of filler. So it needs a little pruning because there's a lot on here. So you don't have to use it all. It's okay to trim it. I think because this is a tall one, I'm going to cut this. And sometimes the eucalyptus leaves don't look so good. Don't worry about feeling bad about cutting them off. So I'm going to, I think that works nice. So I'm going to put this on the edge. So you always want to cover your mechanics. You don't want anybody to know your secrets. So always make sure that you have everything covered up. Some of these are kind of short, so I'm going to put these down low. So we're working with kind of a neutral palette at this point, so you can really go any color that you want. We have these beautiful Alstroemeria that work in this color, sorry, that I think is a really pretty color combo. So once again, you want to strip. And sometimes Alstroemeria, these leaves I find distracting. So feel free to take those off. Be very gentle and pinch them with your fingernails. Otherwise, you don't want to pull the flower off. So you can just pull them off like that. And when you cut, so the kind of rule of thumb is you want to go 1.5 times the height of your container for that to be pleasing to the eye. So, that's going to be about up to here is the tip top of our arrangement. So you get to think like, do you want this up high? Do you want this up low? In floral design, you want to keep your larger flowers down low. So like if I was going to put this, just for an instance, if it's up there versus, oops, we're caught. Down low, you can see the difference visually. And you'll see that as I build this. So actually, let's go ahead and start. Let's put this down low. And I'm just going to make it kind of symmetrical. Just make it balanced, put different things around. Ooh, I put a lot of chicken wire in this. Doesn't want to go in. So that's that. And I think, let's see. I'm going to put this rose in too. Now this rose, as you can see, it's a little curved. So if I put it going this way, you really want to look and see which way it's going to look best. Now for this one, I'm going to put this right above this other one. And it's a floral technique called sequencing when you have two near each other. But it's still going to be low enough to where it should look good. And I'm going to turn it just a little so that you can see it from the side. And if the petals are not looking great, go ahead, because there's plenty in there. So go ahead and pull off the outside petals. And then I'm going to put the Alstroemeria around the edge. And here's the 3, 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to pull these off. I'm going to leave a few of the little ones on because they look nice, but I'm going to pull these down. Put this one down here. And this one in the back. Okay, so there's that. Ooh, and I think these ranunculus would be really pretty in here. Look at this color. I think this is going to be really nice. Now, ranunculus have such a beautiful foliage. I love those like that. So I'm not going to take any of that off. I think it's really pretty. So it's facing forward. So I'm going to, so you can kind of, if you want, if you're not sure, you can stick it down and kind of look and gauge, but I think it's going to be really nice right here. I got a little too much chicken wire in my vase. It's a little hard to get in there. Yeah. So as you do this, you'll realize how much chicken wire is too much. This is too much, I think. Can't get this in. So find a little opening. Shoot. All right, I'm going to cut it down. All right, sorry, that's not going to go in. It's too thick. I'm going to use a smaller one. Let's see if we can get this one in. Here, okay. And that one's got a nice curve, so I'm going to put this like that. So we have a nice monochromatic color palette going here. And if you like that, you can just keep on adding the similar colors. But the thing that's really nice about neutral, it's gonna go in, is if you wanted to really pump it up, you could go to the opposite side of the color wheel. And this is a perfect size arrangement for these beautiful purple sweet peas. Now, see what's going to happen to this monochromatic arrangement when we stick purple in it. It's going to pop. So this is called a split complement color arrangement. So you can add some purple to the orange and really take it up. And then I also have some salvia. So this is a line flower. So we talked about focal, filler. Now we have line flowers. So line flowers are of course vertical, and they're going to draw your eye up. So you can see what happens to the arrangement. It's sort of round. This is our little silhouette. We have a round silhouette. If we start adding line flowers to it, it really changes the whole look of the arrangement. So we got our 3. I'm going to put a few more in. I think this is going to look good down low too. So I'm going to put some down low. So you can see what a line flower does to an arrangement that would otherwise be sort of round. It really adds volume and texture, and it draws your eye all around. And the alstroemeria is going to continue to open. Alstroemeria is a really long-lasting base flower, so you should get a lot of life out of it. So I'm going to put one more rose right there, because I think it needs a 3rd rose. And this one is so pretty. So with roses, especially the beautiful old-fashioned garden roses, the thorns are really obnoxious. So you can take your knife and just pop them right off. or you can use a rose stripper. You can use a rose stripper to strip a lot of different things, but when you're doing a lot of roses, you probably want a glove, but you just take it gently and just pull it straight down and just pull off the thorns. Give it a fresh cut, and in it goes. So this is a trick that florists use. I don't know if everybody thinks it's a good thing, but if you have a rose or a flower that's kind of droopy, like this one's a little droopy, we have a trick of the trade. You take your floral wire. This is floral wire. It's green, coated in green paint. It keeps it from rusting, but it also blends into the arrangements. So if you have a heavy-headed flower that might be throwing your arrangement off a little, you can wire it. And there's different ways of wiring flowers. The rose, I'm going to take it around, I'm going to make a loop, pinch it, cross over like that, just to hold it. You're just giving it a little support. Squeeze it down, and then you take the wire, and basically you're just reinforcing the stem. So we do this with Gerber daisies, sunflowers, anything that's got a heavy head. Because if the water doesn't draw all the way up, it's going to droop. And then we just wrap it around. You can just go ahead and cut that. So that'll help give it shape. You can put it exactly where you want it. And if you don't agree with that, you don't have to do it. But I do recommend it if you're using Gerber daisies. There's nothing worse than a beautiful flower arrangement where the gerbs are. Anyway, so you can see the idea. You have your threes, your line flowers, a combination of focal and some filler. And that's going to give you a very nice full arrangement. And you can just keep going. Another, I really liked this container. Another thing you want to think about, so this is a pretty dark container. And I think it's important to take some of the color of the container up to the arrangement. So I found this. On the farm yesterday. And I thought, oh, that's going to be beautiful in this container. So once again, I have a chicken wire frog that I taped, but I also put rocks, the little marbles in the bottom of this container for just a little bit more structure, because I knew I wanted to do something that has a little bit more shape. So I wanted a little bit more holding power what's inside the vase. Okay, so this one's curved a little, so you can see it's going to affect where you place it. So I'm going to put it here. And same with this one. And this one's a little smaller shape, so I'm going to put it down low. So this is a really good floral material for bringing this brown color up into your arrangement. So I'm going to do 1, 2, 3, as you can see. There's a 1, 1, 2, 3. There's some smaller ones that we can use as filler that would look really nice around the base. I love this stuff. It's a really cool, and it's really long lasting. And this grows really well in your yards. I see it around Santa Cruz all over. It's very cool. Now, these red sweet peas, I think, are going to look really cool in here. So I'm going to use the red sweet peas. So we have some that are tall and some that are short. So the tall ones, I'm just going to take a little off because I want to keep the height. So I'm going to stick this up. This one's a little curvy short, so it's going to be really nice around the neck. And having the marbles in the bottom of this container is really helping with some of our shape. Mm. Oh, is there anything better than the smell of a sweet pea? I don't think so. Right? Thanks to Lise. Doesn't she grow great sweet peas? The what? The oh, this is leucadendron. Thank you. Yeah. Leucadendron. So as you, if you read in your notes of the PowerPoint, the number one thing that's going to affect your vase life is fresh water. You want to clean your vases. You want to change the water as often as you can do it. If you can give your flowers a fresh cut when you change the water, that's even better. What's going to happen is the flowers draw their water up to the heads through their stems. And if they get all clogged with icky water, they can't draw up. And that's when they start drooping. So the best thing is, you know, it's a little bit more difficult in an arrangement that has got tape on it. But what I usually do is stick it in my kitchen sink and just put the sprayer down and just fill it and let it spill out. So that way all the old water will eventually go out. But I know it's hard to do, but as a retail florist, you know, our reputation was in our shelf life of our flowers. And if we didn't have a good shelf life, people would complain. So you definitely want to change your water as often as you can. So let's see. Ooh, let's jazz it up. How about some yellow? See, you could go with something a little bit more subdued and keep it monochromatic, but look what this is going to do. This is going to just pow. It's really going to be great. So Status is one of my favorite fillers. It's super long lasting. You can, if you want to dry it, you hang it upside down and dry it. It's easy to grow. It comes in beautiful colors. It's a go-to. If you want to grow anything in your garden, grow this. I mean, even just a big bunch of this in a vase, I think it's beautiful. Status kind of gets a bad name, but I love it because it's so effective. I mean, look what it's going to do. Just watch this. It's going to really just punch this arrangement right up. Now this, we've got our 1, 2, 3. I'm going to use it just like this. So with Status, you definitely want to make sure that you take all the greens off, but it also has these little nodules that can get stuck in your chicken wire. So what I do is I just use my knife and I just kind of shave them off a little. It's a little hard to do when I'm bending over my table, but you'll see once you start working with it, like there's one right there. And if you change your mind and you want to pull it out of the arrangement and move it, it could get caught. So it's best to shave it off before you stick it in and just kind of just go along the stem. So where should we put this? I think I'm going to stick it right in here. So I'm going to cut it about there. And see, that's going to be my silhouette when it goes in. So it's going to frame this one and this one right in there. Just like that. So here's another one. Oh, this is pretty. So this one, I just bent it, so I'm going to cut it off. So this is a little curvy. Really want to kind of look. I think I can use it like this. I think I'm going to stick it. I'm going to put it right in there. So we get a little bit in the center and a little bit of a curve. And this one, I'm going to stick right in there. So look at that. It just went pow. So you can just keep adding. Even the columbine would be pretty in there. So it's a good idea as you're designing to keep in mind your positive space, which is what we're actually looking and working with. So, but it's also the negative space that you want to look at. and spin it, and then see how the negative and positive space of the flowers that you're using are going to work in your arrangement. And that's really what's going to make a really pleasing to the eye arrangement. So like if I had something, well, you just really want to kind of look, see how these are kind of growing, curving. You want to work with the curve. You want to work with the face of the flower and bring out its best attributes in your arrangement. So this I'm going to put right here. You just can keep building away. And I think we need a few down low. And the beautiful thing about Status is it has, these are called laterals. And you can cut these short and stick them in down low. Because I really do like to put attention to the transition in the vase. And I think this Status does that really beautifully. So you can just keep on adding. I kind of don't like this. I'm going to change my mind. I'm going to put this in the middle. And actually, I'm going to take that off. Change my mind, which is okay. And just, you know, spin it around. Some people work on Lazy Susans and you can spin them, which I like. In the flower shop, I would work on one so that you can really kind of get an idea of it. And just, you know, keep on adding if you wanted to add. So this rose is a little curvy. If you wanted to, you could wire it, make it stand up a little straighter, or you could just go with it. But here again, it's full of thorns. So I'm going to take my strippers and just strip away. So this, as it's going to open, is just going to get really big and beautiful. And I want to look right at it. So I'm going to put it front and center so that everybody who looks at this is going to see its beauty. So I think right in here is a good spot for it. So I'm going to trim it. And I'm going to put it right here. So as you can see, if you added a little bit of the orange, it's going to soften the poof. It's going to soften the impact of the red and yellow contrast. So you can use your colors that way. If it's like, wow, it's just a little bit too bright, you can tone it down by adding a little bit of a muted in-between tone. So we can put a little bit of this in and see how that changes it. It's just going to soften it and kind of bring it down a notch. And we're still into scale. This is a little too tall. I think a rose, I think this would be too big in here. See how the scale of that is just going to throw it off. So I'm not going to use that in here. I like these daintier, smaller flowers for this arrangement. I think it's going to be pretty. And even this one, I think this is pretty open. It's not going to last a long time, but it's really pretty. So I'm going to use it. I'm going to balance out the rose, put this on the other side of it. So arrangements don't have to be symmetrical to be balanced. So when you're working in your arrangements, if you want to break it up into quadrants, is what I usually do. So sometimes I'll just go in half or a third. I have a heavy flower here, so I want to balance it with maybe two smaller flowers over here. So keep that in mind as you're working away to balance, but it doesn't have to be symmetrical. So you can use different sizes of flowers in different quantities to achieve that balance. So I know we're getting low on time and I have one really cool arrangement I want to show you. Unless, of course, there's not a lot of questions, then I'll just keep making stuff because this is really fun. So I got this container, I think at Marshall's, and I thought, oh, how cool is this? It's really contemporary and really fun. So as we were preparing for this workshop today, I thought, you know, I'm just going to start playing around. So right now, these are Delisa's beautiful columbines and Orrin Martin's beautiful garden roses and ranunculus. There's a frog in there. I don't know, I don't want to tip it because it's got water in it, but there's a frog, which let me show you some different frogs. These were from my grandmother's collection. So this one is really old, but these are different kinds of frogs. There's the pin frog that's in here is the one that's most people, that you're probably most familiar with. They're just pin frogs. They're kind of sharp, but you know, there's lots of different styles of frogs that you can buy. And then I put marbles around it. One to hide the frog, because you always want to cover your mechanics. Number one rule in floral design, nobody wants to see how you did it. So don't give away your magic. Cover everything up. So I thought, well, you know, the columbine is so wispy and beautiful, and there's a lot of movement in it. And it's just such a beautiful flower that we want to just look at it all by itself. So I started working on this. But then as you go, you know, you're going to want to kind of pay attention to what these flowers are doing, and then fill in your larger focal flowers around them. This one's a little bit droopy, so I think I'm going to cut it short, even though it's still really beautiful. I'm going to keep it down low. And here, though, I think the bigger roses can go low. This is a beautiful garden rose. So as you can see, you want to take off these outer petals. It's totally fine. There's plenty more in there. Don't worry about it. And then as you remove these petals, it'll make room for the other petals to open. So this has a little cut. We want to make sure we remove that because that doesn't look good. And I think in this case, I'm going to leave the leaf because there's something that's kind of a nice composition about that doesn't bother me. So I'm going to leave it. And then let's see, strippers. We're going to take off the thorns. Okay, sometimes the thorns are too thick for the strippers, so I'm going to use my knife. I think the garden roses, they know that they are such a beautiful thing that they protect themselves, because I find that garden roses have the biggest, worst thorns of any rose ever. So we have one rose here. I think I'm going to do a 1, 2, 3. I'm going to keep this midway. So we're going to do a little bit of it's going to be a little more contemporary arrangement. So we're not going to have quite as much texture and not quite as much floral material in it, to keep it a little bit more of a whimsy, but more contemporary look. Oh, look at that. Now this is a wide open garden rose, so it's probably not going to last long, but you got to use it. It's beautiful. So we're going to strip. Now some of these leaves not looking so good, so we're going to take them off. And this one, let me show you the back. So we have 1, 2. So I'm going to put this one here for a 3. And also because it's large, so I'm going to keep it down low to the bowl of the arrangement. Now, because I don't want it to be symmetrical, but I want to balance it, we have some heavy here, so we need some more weight on this side, as you can probably see. But I don't know if I want to necessarily put another rose there. So let's see what else we have. Ooh, we have some Gerberas. These? Oh. There we go. Sorry, how's that? Oh, okay. Little housekeeping, sorry.
It's so dry.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to use some Gerberas, but Gerberas you definitely, I mean, some people may be shocked and say, oh, how could you wire a gerb? But you're going to want to. So I'm going to show you how to wire a gerbera, you want to go right in through the throat, not all the way, just a little bit in. You got that? Can you see that?
Hold on a second. Yes.
Okay, so you just stick it in a little. Basically, you're just reinforcing the neck. And then you're going to wrap it around, spin, spin, spin. Because gerberas are notorious because they're so heavy that they're just going to flop over. You don't have to do this, but, and the other thing, if you wanted to cover it, this is stem wrap. We talk about it in the slideshow. So it's a waxy crepe paper. So you want to pull it to get it started, give it a little pull. You want to start around the neck, get it kind of secure. And then you just angle it and spin. And you go really fast. You have a whole bunch of these to do. I'm going slow so you can see it, but you just kind of hold it and spin it. And that way, if you want to cover your wire, you can do it that. And we'll take it off. And the beauty about this is you can kind of control the shape. Like if you want it to bend over a little bit more. So I think we need something like right around mid-level here. So I think I'm going to put this right here. Shoot, I just bent it. Okay, it's going to go a little lower. So I think I'm going to do something a little contemporary. In the essence of time, I'm not going to wire this one. I'm just going to stick it in. So I'm going to do 3 gerbs in tandem. So trying to show you an example of getting balance without symmetry. So the 3 gerbs can balance the 3 roses. And then the columbine almost acts like a filler, but it adds so much movement. It's just beautiful. And then if you wanted, if you have some beautiful foliage, I think this is acanthus. I think this is an acanthus leaf. You can add this. I think I'm gonna put it right here. You can have that. Oh, I have one more. Let's see, I think I'm gonna put it right here. So that's that smooth texture I was telling you about that causes your eye to kind of take a breath. There's a lot of movement, there's a lot of stuff going on, but your eye will stop on the smooth dark surfaces and kind of take a break. And if you had some, like if you wanted to add some curly willow, you could add some curly willow to this. You could put a few more gerbs in here if you wanted, but I want to still keep the shape of the container as part of the arrangement. So I think the hardest part about floral design or any kind of design is knowing when to stop. So sometimes I'll just stop or I'll walk away, go get some lunch, and then come back. Like I might shorten that a little bit. But essentially you want your arrangement to work with your container. And in this case, I really wanted to highlight these beautiful columbine. So there we go. So we're at 11. Do we have
Heidi,
any questions?
are you ready for some questions?
Yeah, do we have questions? Okay, good.
Just a couple. Okay. So MK is doing a wedding this summer and wants to know about the citrus-based water treatment that's in the handout. What's the ratio of water to powder or other ingredients?
So when you buy, so in the flower shop, we get busy and we just throw some in. When you buy your flowers at the store, there's a little packet. I think you have to I don't really remember. If you buy it in a little container, I think they sell it at some garden centers, And also there's a link to the resources sheet that I gave you. United Wholesale Florist over in San Jose sells to the public, and they have the ratio, the recipe on that container. But really, especially for a wedding, the flowers aren't going to be in that stuff for very long. It's a little bit different than if you're at a flower shop and you're selling arrangements in a vase that are going to be, you know, on somebody's table for a while. So I wouldn't stress too much about if you're doing wedding flowers, but you don't want to waste it because that stuff's expensive. There again, the thing is you want to keep your bucket really clean. You want to sterilize your tools every time you use them. And, you know, I've done a lot of weddings where the buckets get full of leaves and kind of, you want to clean all that. And that's going to be probably more important than using flower food for a wedding. But yeah, but check the container of it because I can't remember, honestly. But it does help, but a lot of organic gardeners and florists, farmers don't use it. One thing I wanted to show you, this California or USA grown logo that's on the flowers, you want to look for this because this means that your flowers were grown in the United States and they're sustainable and grown in a environmentally friendly way versus coming from far, far away and possibly grown with chemicals and things like that. So that's a good logo to look for. Okay.
Are there other local places that you recommend buying flowers?
Well, I got some of these at Whole Foods. There's a lot of farmer florists. In the resources document, there's a link to the Slow Flower Network that Deborah Prinzing has started and has done an amazing job marketing farmer florists who sell their organically grown flowers all over the country, all over the world, really. So I would check there. You can Google your local area for organic flower growers. A lot of them sell direct. New Leaf, Wild Roots, Whole Foods, they sell a lot of local flowers. And then of course we have our CSA and our farm cart on Wednesdays and Fridays here in the hay barn. We grow beautiful flowers and you can always come and buy some bunches from us. And we do buckets. There's a list, a link to the information on our website in that resource document that we sent out. That we can sell you if you're doing an event or a wedding, you can buy growers buckets and it'll just be like this, beautiful things, and you can just have fun. And they're really long lasting because they're grown so well.
And our farm cart opens in late June.
Late June,
So
yeah.
look for
June
that.
through usually just before Thanksgiving. And it's going to be Wednesdays and Fridays here in the hay barn.
So this person is also wondering about doing them at night, the night before, or the morning of for an afternoon wedding. What do you recommend? What do you need for that?
Oh, don't do that to yourself. You want to give yourself some time. It depends on what you're doing. If it's just a few bouquets, that might be okay. But you know, if it's not super, super hot and your house or your garage is relatively cool, and you don't buy your flowers completely wide open, you should be okay. But things always take longer than you think. Flowers, you know, they break. Sometimes you may not like what you did and you want to take it apart and redo it. Give yourself a couple of days. Like what I usually do when I do a wedding, I'll go and buy the flowers on Wednesday, prep them, because you know, if you're doing a lot of flowers, stripping and cleaning, fresh cutting, that takes a long time. And then you want them to drink for a good overnight or longer. Because once you give them a fresh cut and you put them in that clean bucket of water, they're going to drink up. And you want to allow that. You want them to drink up as much as you can, and you don't want to rush that. And so if you try to rush it and do it too fast, they're probably not going to look so good. And the thing is also floral refrigerators, if you have a refrigerator, floral refrigerators have humidity. I did a wedding and I thought I could get away with putting the boutonnieres and corsages in the crisper drawer. And it didn't work, they froze. So then I had to remake them that morning and that was pretty stressful. So Try not to put them in your refrigerator. A lot of times the bathroom is really cool. It's a nice area. And what I have done too is put bags of ice around in the bathroom to kind of cool the temperature of the room down if it's really hot. But if you buy really fresh, really well grown flowers, you should be okay for a good 3 days before the wedding to do it and not stress yourself out.
Okay, is there a downside to using ice cubes, as you mentioned in the handout, to refresh the water? There's something in either the presentation or the handout about using ice cubes in the water.
I don't remember saying that, but it doesn't matter. I mean, as long as the water that they were made with is fresh and clear, yeah, it doesn't matter. It's cool. It may be too cool actually for the flowers, depending. So that actually might be a thing. If you're going to do a wedding and it's really warm out, you could put some ice cubes in the water to kind of keep the temperature low. That would work. But, you know, I've done that before. I don't think it really matters.
Okay, since we're talking about water, what about using distilled water instead of tap water? Is there a benefit to that?
Using what kind of?
Distilled water.
Oh. There again, I think the most important thing is to clean, to change the water. I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference if you don't change the water. That's the worst thing ever. So I think tap water is fine as long as you change it every couple of days. I give my neighbor flowers and she's so funny. She's like, your flowers last for 2 weeks. And I said, well, how often do you change the water? She goes, oh, every day. That is the number one thing. And if you can, it's a little bit tricky, but if you have an arrangement, oh, sorry. If you can pull it up, grab, snip, fresh cut, ding, 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 change the water, put them back. That above all else is gonna affect the longevity of your arrangement more than anything else. I mean, people put sugar, pennies. I wouldn't put any of that in because I think sugar is it's gonna make the bacteria grow. Pennies, they're not very, there's a lot of germs on pennies. Fresh water is the best thing. Just if you can do it every day, fresh cut, that's gonna be your best bet.
So the bacteria in the water clogs the base, the
Yeah.
uptake system of the vascular system.
Yeah, so
And that makes
so
it drip.
basically, if you read that handout from the gardener, it gets into a lot of the botany and the makeup of flowers. But basically, flowers are 90% water, and they draw up through the stem. So if you don't give it a fresh cut, or if it's been sitting for more than a couple of minutes without a fresh cut, like, you know, we'll be working away and things will be sitting. And if I were just to stick this in here after about, if it's been on my table for a couple of minutes, the cells are starting to clog up. So if I don't give it a fresh cut before I stick it in, it's probably not going to last that long because it's already started to, the cells have started to close up. So fresh cut as often as you can. If things are sitting out for, I had a friend who said 3 minutes. I don't know, I think it depends on the flower. Gerbers, because of their heavy head and their thin stem, these need a fresh cut. Even if it's just for like a minute, give them a fresh cut. Yeah, some other flowers are a little bit sturdier, and the more you work with them, you'll know, but fresh cut, fresh water, it's always your best thing.
All right, could we ask you to bring that very first arrangement out and tell us again the names of the greens?
Was that this
The
one?
base arrangement, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Sure.
Okay, this one. So blue Purim.
Did you say it again? Lucrum?
Blue Purim. I think
Blue.
there's a picture of it in the,
Blue Purim.
let me see, in the slide deck. And you can just do a Google search for, yeah, blue perm. It's under the foliage commonly used. And this is a little different. I think it's probably because it's early in the season. Last year we did a harvest to table floral class, and the blue perm in the field was very different. So I think this one's a little bit kind of droopy and soft because it's early in the season. It does change and there's different varieties of it. So this isn't, and it'll look different. Like the one in the picture is a little bit different. So it changes throughout the season, but it's got that beautiful spring green color. And I just really like it because it adds so much movement. It is a little, it's crispy, so you have to be careful. It snaps really easily. So you have to kind of handle it carefully. It's not as robust as like this stuff. Like this is great. Oh, that's the other thing I wanted to talk about was when you're buying flowers, we call it the shake test. You want to shake them upside down and see how those leaves are dropping? Probably a little bit old. So just kind of keep aware. Mums do that. Like mums, if they're old, they'll just shatter. So whenever you're out shopping for flowers, just pick them upside down and shake them. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to mention is if you're working with big stems like a calla lily, you want to put these in first because like trying to get this in now, it's gonna be really hard. So anything like, amaryllis, calla lilies, you want to start with these. These are the leaders. They determine everything. Nope. Okay. Any other questions?
Yes.
There's more greens.
Yeah,
Oh,
more greens.
oh,
in that
sorry.
vase.
Lemon leaf. No, that's not in there. This is leptosporum, my favorite. And oh, this is heather. This little guy. This is common. This grows in your yard. This is easy to grow and it smells really good. It comes in a lighter pink and a darker pink and white. It's really pretty. Did I get them all?
I find that if I see a green that I'd like to use in an arrangement, I go out and cut it in the morning, stick it in a vase and see if it holds up.
Yeah.
And I was just looking outside, there's all kinds of grasses in flower right now that are beautiful in an arrangement.
Yeah.
That rattlesnake grass.
Yeah. I mean, you know what? If it's for your own use, experiment away. Can't hurt. I mean, you know, especially something that like Lilies might grow in Santa Cruz might grow very differently. I live in Ben Lomond. They acclimate, they adapt to their environment in a different way. So something that might not work so much in her house might be great at my house because if it doesn't last on its own, it won't live in my yard. The other thing I wanted to show you really quick with carnations, sometimes they're really tight. You can just kind of pet them a little bit to open them a little. Because sometimes if they're too tight, they won't open. So you can kind of just do that and give them a little bit of head start. And then also with the roses, if there's some leaves that just don't look so good, just pull them off.
So Cecilia would like to know about poppies. When you cut a poppy, she's heard that you singe the stems. You kind of
Yeah.
light them for the flower to
Poppies,
last.
Euphorbia, anything with a milky substance, it's going to get into the water and foul the water. Yeah, so you can do a Google search on that too, the different flowers that you're going to want to do that too. I can't think, like we didn't do that very often in the flower shop, but euphorbia is a big leaker. Yeah.
And poppies, they're just a very fast blooming flower. So
Yeah.
you're actually closing up the pores so it doesn't
Yeah.
take up water.
Yeah, because once that substance starts to leak out, it's kind of like the plasma. It's gonna it's just going to start to go downhill. And some flowers just don't last long, like poppies and dahlias, even though they're so pretty. They just don't last long. It's just the way they're made up. Some things are longer lasting and some things aren't. But yeah, anything that's going to exude any kind of milky substance, you're going to want to burn it.
So the final question we have so far is someone who's interested in making arrangements for a small business. They want to know about how to price arrangements.
Well, so, you know, my background for that is from a flower shop. So you're buying, the grower sells to the wholesaler, and then you buy from the wholesaler, and then you sell to the public. So there's some middlemen in there. If you're buying direct from the grower, your costs are going to be different. Your overhead's going to be different. The way we would do an arrangement in a shop is, so say an arrangement is $85. So right off the top, we take 30% for labor. That goes right away. That's the labor cost. The cost of the vase. Hard goods, we would mark up 1.5 to 2 times. So if this vase cost us $3, I would take off probably 6 or 7. So that goes off. If you're going to use ribbon, or if there's a basket, you take all your costs out, and then what's left is your profit. So you just work backwards. So what I would do is take your cost of your flowers from whoever you're buying them from. I would at least double them. But if it's a really complicated arrangement, you're going to want to charge more. So rule of thumb in a flower shop is you should be able to make a round arrangement in 15 minutes, 15 or 20. So you think about time is money, your product is money. Like every time you snap a head off a rose, I mean, you're selling that rose for $4. If you buy flowers and you don't process them correctly, and you just bought $200 worth of flowers and they don't last very long, that's right out the window. So you really want to look at what you're spending, what it's costing. If you're buying direct from a grower, it's going to be a different markup than what I'm looking for. But 30% for labor at least, probably higher now, maybe 35, 40. And then at least doubling your materials costs. Yeah, but also you want to do your homework and see what your competitors are charging. Because I was looking, I mean, flowers, especially around the holidays, you know, it's not that the growers and stuff gouge people. In order to get the amount of flowers that a grower needs to sell or a distributor needs to sell at, say, like Valentine's Day, they start forcing their roses like right after the holidays. And that means turning up the thermostat. So their PG&E bill goes up. They have to plant a lot. They need to harvest a lot. So they have to bring in all the staff to do all that. So really, it's not, the markup is probably about the same. It's just the volume for holidays. And like, you know, that's why this arrangement was $35, or this bouquet, instead of 20, because, you know, I know what it takes to produce that amount of bouquets in such a short amount of time. They have to bring in all the reinforcements, everybody's friend and brother, and they are harvesting and they're growing and they're bouquet making. And so it all adds up. So yeah, I just really want to keep an eye on your costs and keep an eye on your, they're perishables. So what's going in the trash? Yeah.
Thank you, Heidi. That was
Sure.
fantastic.
Yeah.
Anything you want to end with besides Happy Mother's Day?
Happy Mother's Day. And, you know, flowers and floral design is just fabulous, and just have fun with it. Experiment, you know, just find what makes your heart sing and treat yourself. Have a great time. Thanks for joining us today. See you soon.
Thanks, everybody.